Hey folks, and welcome to another recorded video here at West Yorkshire Retro Gamer. It's that time again. It's another championship predictions video. This one is due to the summer transfer window now being shut. And as far as I'm aware, I think today is the final day that the Saudi League can potentially get players from the championship if they want to. However, I want to get the video done now. So if there's any changes after today, then it'll get reviewed at the end of January, because I will do my final championship predictions video once the January transfer window finishes, and that then could look very, very different to what this one and any of the couple of previous ones that I've done will look like. So this one's going to be a little bit in depth. We're going to base it on the positions that the clubs are in at the moment, and also the transfers in and out that have occurred for each club. So this one could take a while, but it's fine. We've got time. Alright, so same format, automatic promotion, so top two, playoffs, obviously third down to sixth. The rest of the top half going down to 12th position, and then all of the bottom half, apart from the bottom three who get relegated. Simple format. Again, we'll go in alphabetical order. So the first club in the list is Birmingham City. They are currently in 4th place, unbeaten in 5, 3 wins, 2 draws. Obviously no losses, 7 goals scored, 3 conceded, with a +4 goal difference and 11 points on the board. Draw, win, 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 draw according to this. I don't know if this is entirely accurate in terms of the order of the wins and draws and losses, but we'll go with it. By far a much better start than even I anticipated for Birmingham. I thought they'd do okay this season. I thought they'd do a bit better than previous seasons based on what had been going on, but yeah, definitely a very solid start. One of their victories was against my team Leeds, and I watched that game, and it was a 1-0 victory, and I think it was a very late goal that Birmingham scored. It was a pretty dire game and had a draw written all over it, really. Neither team deserving to win, to be honest. But you can't fault an unbeaten start, can you? Looking at their transfers, there was a lot of transfer activity. I think they've just had a takeover, haven't they? So this kind of allowed for a little bit more movement within the Birmingham squad. So in terms of incomings, they got Christian Bielik from Derby, Lee Buchanan from Werder Bremen. I'm not going to go through every single transfer for every club because we'll be here till next week. Tyler Roberts came from my club Leeds. Koji Miyoshi, a free transfer from Royal Antwerp in Belgium. They got Drame from Leeds, so I'll be forever grateful. Yeah, we needed to get that kid off our books. Good God. Anyway, so that's just a handful of the incomings. There was a lot of incomings. There was also a lot of outgoings. From a money point of view, they got in 4 million from Luton for Chong. That was their major incoming in terms of money. In terms of the players released, there's experienced centre-back Kevin Long that's gone. the younger brother of Jude Bellingham, Joe Bellingham, has gone to Sunderland. George Friend, experienced fullback, he's gone on a free to Bristol Rovers. Maxim Collin, he'd been with, and Harley Dean and Troy Deeney, they'd all been at Birmingham for a while, but they've gone now. So yeah, quite a bit of activity there. With such a good start, it gives them a big platform, doesn't it? I don't feel Birmingham's going to push the playoffs, but I mean, you got to think they'd be good enough to stay in the top half, wouldn't you? I would have thought. Let's put them top half. Birmingham fans, let me know in the comments below where you think you'll finish. But obviously a very solid start. You've scored more goals than the games you've played, you've conceded less goals than the games you've played. And you're currently unbeaten, so, you know, great start to you. Well done. Moving on to Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn in the table currently are 13th. Very mixed start by the looks of things. 5 games played. Obviously for everyone they've played 5 games. We're on an international break at the minute. 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. 6 goals scored, which is decent for 5 games, but 8 goals conceded. This is obviously where the problem lies for Blackburn, conceding too many goals. -2 goal difference, 7 points on the board. Loss, win, loss, draw, win. It's very, very up and down at Blackburn, isn't it, judging by that. In terms of their transfer activity, they got Niall Ennis in from Plymouth on a free, which obviously Plymouth had a fantastic season last time out, didn't they? In League One, so you know you'd think there might be a player there. They have focused on bringing in a few Scandinavian players. Sondre Tronstad from Vitesse Arnhem in Holland on a free. Amor Sigurdsson from CSKA Moscow on loan. Leopold Varsteld from Odd for £800,000. That's just some of the incomings. In terms of the outgoings, Brereton Diaz and Bradley Dack, both leaving on a free. That is, ooh, that ain't good. 2 of Blackburn's most creative and attacking outlets from recent seasons, and then they both go on a free. If Venkers is still in charge, what were you thinking? Obviously, it's not just down to Venkers or whoever's in charge of Blackburn. There's obviously the players involved and the agents as well, but that's not good for Blackburn, is it? You would have expected to have, maybe I don't know, something must have been put in place, but Diaz has gone to Villarreal anyway, and Dack's gone to Sunderland. Ayala has been released. Kaminski went to Luton for 2.5 million. So again, that was their first choice goalkeeper as well. So I mean, looking at that list of the incomings, I don't know if any of those is a goalkeeper. One of them might be, I guess. I'm not sure, but that explains why Blackburn's in the position they're in. So, going by their current position of 13th place, can they pick up the form? Can they improve? Sorry if I don't drink my tea now, it will have gone cold by the end of this video. I'm still putting them top half, but only just. I mean, they need to address a lot of stuff going on there. I mean, is Thomason going to stay as manager? I mean, I'm not sure. I'm sticking my neck out with Blackburn there. You know, unlike Birmingham, who weren't really expected to have a great season, but have made a very good start. You got Blackburn, who were expected to have a good season, and I mean, you can just see the difference that it makes not having Dyers and Dark there, can't you? It's they've obviously not been suitably replaced at the moment. Plenty of games to go, still over 40 games to go. It's a lot of points to play for. It's just not a great start, is it? Moving on, Bristol Rovers. They are currently in 8th place. With 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss, 5 goals scored, 5 goals conceded, 0 goal difference and 8 points on the board. Win, draw, loss, win, draw. See, I don't even know if the order of that is going from most recent to backwards or the opposite way around. I'm not sure. Anyway. So. Bristol. What's their transfers? Let's have a look. Not many incomings actually. Only a handful. So I'll read them all out. So they've got Rob Dickie in from QPR, Jason Knight from Derby, Ross McCrory from Aberdeen, and Hayden Roberts from Brighton. All for predicted small fees because they're all undisclosed, apart from Roberts being on a free. In terms of outgoings, quite a few outgoings. Thomas Callis has gone to Schalke. Jay De Silva went to Coventry. Nathan Baker got released. I believe Baker's gone into a completely different profession now. Yeah, I think a few of these are youth players or fringe players that never really got in the team, perhaps. But there's 1 or 2 of their slightly bigger names. Why is Alex Scott not listed here? He left for about 20 odd million quid. I've got the ins and outs coming from SkySports.com. That is poor. What are they played at? Alex Scott went for over 20 odd million quid and he's not even listed in the outs. This must be like an old list or something. I mean, was the Scott transfer that late on? I don't think it was it? Either way, Bristol City sold Alex Scott for over 20 million quid. So, you know, with that, you'd have expected them to maybe made a little bit more business, perhaps. You know, these undisclosed fees. I mean, Rob Dickie from QPR, would he have cost a great deal? Probably not. A couple of million, maybe. Jason Knight, can't think he would have cost all that much. He's been signed from League One Derby. McCrory from Aberdeen, again, maybe $1 million. Hayden Roberts was on a free transfer. It's not a lot of business there, really, is it? When you consider that you've just brought in over 20 million quid for one player. Anyway, good start for Bristol. Better than I expected them to do. I don't know who they played. It might tell me here if I hover over the ticks. Let's have a look. Oh. I thought if you hover over the ticks, crosses and dashes it tells you who they played against. According to this, not. Alright, well, it's the efficiency of Sky Sports. I wasn't expecting Bristol to do much this season, to be honest. I mean, but I made my feelings clear that I'm not a massive fan of their manager. He is experienced at this level. I mean, you know, you can't say Nigel Pearson hasn't, you know, done an okay job at this level. But I mean, again, you know, how successful has Pearson been at this level? I think he might have been the manager. Was he the manager that got Leicester promoted all that time ago? That seems so long ago now, doesn't it? You know, they had a lot of seasons in the Prem. So, I don't know. What I would say with this one, I personally, I just don't see the quality in the Bristol squad overall. Bristol, you can Bristol fans, you can correct me on this. If you can outline in the comments where you feel the quality is in your squad, that means that you'll finish comfortably in the top half, then go for it. I think you're going to narrowly miss out, but only by a smidge. You'll be like 13th, 14th, something like that. I'm going to put you at the very top of the bottom half. Again, when we do the January prediction, well, the post-January predictions, everything could change. Everything could change. Alright, moving on. Again, these are just my opinions, folks. I have very little knowledge on any of the teams here apart from my team Leeds, to be fair. So there's no right or wrong answer with this in theory. Who knows who's going to do what in the Championship? Let's face it, it's one of them divisions. Right, next alphabetically we have got Cardiff City. Cardiff currently sit in 19th. They got a 2-2 draw with Leeds, and I mean they went into a 2-0 lead, and then Leeds ended up picking them back to 2-2. And again, maybe I'm biased, but I felt that if Leeds had controlled the game better like they should have done, because they had enough possession and enough attempts on goal. It was two mistakes that led to it. Solid finishes, don't get me wrong. Josh Bowler was a handful. He was a thorn in Leeds' side in that match, to be honest. So they've got a good signing in Bowler. I'll give them that. Alright. So let's have a proper look into this then. So 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses. 8 goals scored. They know how to put it in the back of the net, but 10 goals conceded. That is a weakness. That is a weakness that Errol Bullock's going to have to sort out if Cardiff have got any chance of staying up. Scoring a lot of goals is great, but if you're conceding more and conceding an average of 2 every game, concede 2 every game, you're going to have to score at least 3 every game to get anything out of it, or to get good points out of it. The -2 goal difference, 4 points on the board. Loss, win, loss, draw. It's not fantastic for Cardiff, is it? Transfer embargo. It's not the worst start that they could have had, quite frankly. The Huddersfield in 21st have got the same record as have Rotherham, that Cardiff have got with the 1-1-3. And the 3 teams below them haven't even, they're in the relegation zone currently, haven't even won a match. So, let's have a look at their transfer business, because again, transfer embargo means that there's going to be this is going to be an interesting one, because there's not going to be any fees involved, So they'll have had to focus on the loan and the free market. There's no doubt about that. So for Cardiff, Dimitrios Goutas on a free from Sivasspor in Turkey. Yakou Mete, free transfer from Reading. If they can keep him fit, not a terrible signing. Aaron Ramsey, gone back home, hasn't he? So, again, if they can keep Ramsey fit, should be an extremely effective player at this level, even at his age, his current age. Karlan Grant played enough in the Championship, could bag him, somewhere between 10 and 15 goals maybe. Ugbo from, I call them Troyes, but it's pronounced Twa. They've got him on loan. Runar Runarsson, I think, is an Icelandic goalkeeper. They've got him on loan from Arsenal. Manolis Siopis from Trabzonspor. And then finally Jonathan Panzo on loan from Nottingham Forest. In terms of players out, they've allowed Sheyi Ojo, who was possibly one of their better players from last season. They've let him go to Kortrijk. Mark Harris, he'd been there a while. He's gone to Oxford United on a free. Tom Sang came through their youth ranks, I believe. He's gone to Port Vale on a free. Dylan Phillips, I think he's former Charlton, maybe? I seem to remember him being in the Charlton goal at one point. He's gone to Rotherham on a free. It's not a bad pickup for Rotherham. That certainly as a backup goalkeeper, if they've still got the Scandinavian goalkeeper that they've got at the minute. Connor Wickham released. So obviously not much money spent and not much money coming in either, so that's what you get for a transfer embargo. I had Cardiff to be relegated. I still think they will be. I'm sorry, Cardiff fans, you've made a slightly better start than I thought you would. But if you don't sort out that leaky defence, you're going down. If you can sort that out, you're certainly scoring enough goals, you've just got to tighten up that defence. I'm going to stick with my guns on that one for now. As I say, when we do the January one, it could be different. Next, Coventry City. Coventry currently sit in 14th. They've got the same win-draw-loss record as my club Leeds at the minute, with 1 win, 3 draws and 1 loss. I believe the 1 loss was against Leicester, and it was a really close match as well, so it's not a massive indication, really, is it? 8 goals scored, 6 conceded, so again it's the goals conceded that's possibly a bit of an issue there, isn't it? But again, you'd expect Coventry to tighten up on that. I believe they've had quite an active transfer window. So +2 and 6 points on the board. So a very steady start from Coventry, but again, only lost 1 game. But then, some fans will say, yeah, but they've only won 1 game. Obviously that means there's a lot of draws, doesn't it? So let's have a look at Coventry's transfer business. Now, obviously, a bit like Blackburn, they lost 2 star players, didn't they, really? But let's have a look at their incomings first. Tatsuhiro Sakamoto. Sounds Japanese to me, does that? He's been signed from Oostend, which I think is a Belgian club. I like Japanese and Korean players. They just have a bit of flair about them, a little bit of quality, a bit of creativity. So he could be a good player if he plays. Ellis Sims had a good loan spell in the Championship last season. He's not a Gyökeres or a Hamer, so I don't expect him to be quite as effective. But you would think at least should be able to get a handful of goals this season. Van Ewijk from Heerenveen. There was rumours that Leeds were interested in that guy. He's a fullback, fairly young Dutch fella, I think. Should be quite solid at this level, I would imagine. They picked up Jada Silver on a free, obviously experienced championship player. Haji Wright's gotten off to a decent start. I think he's an American that's signed from Antalyaspor in Turkey. And they've got former Leeds United youth Liam Kitchen, centre back, an undisclosed fee from Barnsley. In terms of outgoings, 20 mil for Gyökeres. It says undisclosed for Hamer. They must have gotten somewhere between 10 and 15 million for Hamer as well. So you're looking at over 30 million quid that's coming just for those two boys. You know, I mean, that's a lot of money coming in at championship level, isn't it? For a team that hasn't just come down from the Premier League, you know, where you would have, you know, potentially Premier League standard players. Gyökeres went to Sporting Lisbon. Hamer went to Sheffield United. In terms of the other players that have gone out, there's a couple of senior players that have gone, but they're not, you know, they're not amazing players for this level. There's a couple of okay championship players, but nothing else major in terms of outgoings. So in terms of Coventry, where are they going to finish? For now, I'm still going to say playoff. I just think that, you know, they'll have enough. They'll have enough. The Coventry are on an upward trajectory at the minute, and I'm not really seeing anything that's suggesting that that's going to stop. So, Matt and Sophie, you can thank me later. Yeah, I still think I think the form will pick up and they'll get playoffs. Right, moving on to a team that's a little bit more local, certainly in terms of my own location, Huddersfield Town. Huddersfield currently in 21st, one place above the relegation zone. Same record as Cardiff and Rotherham. 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses. Only scoring 4 goals. Ten goals conceded, -6 and 4 points. Win, loss, draw, loss. Let's have a look at their transfer business. Maxwell in from Blackpool on a free. He's an experienced goalkeeper at Football League level, isn't he? Tom Edwards on loan from Stoke. Delano Bergsorg. That's a name and a half, isn't it, that? He's on loan from Mainz in Germany. And then Ben Wiles from Rotherham. It's not a great transfer window, is it? In terms of the outgoings, have they let anyone out that's, you know, that would potentially have been important? Let's have a look. Dwayne Holmes went to Preston, which, I mean, you know, initially you'd think, well, it's not much of a loss, but he's actually made a good start at Preston as Dwayne Holmes, to be fair. We'll get on to Preston in a bit. I'm going down this list. It's Willando Aarons. I mean, he was a half decent championship player, wasn't he? He's just been released. Jordan Rhodes has gone on loan at Blackpool. I mean, Rhodes has passed his best, isn't he? There's no doubt about that. Yeah, so a lot of outgoings, but I mean, there's no one that's really kind of shouting out to me that they're a really good championship player, you know, so not a good transfer window. I think their current position might be where they finish, and the only reason I'm putting them slightly ahead of Cardiff is that Neil Warnock has got more about him than Errol Bullitt in terms of championship experience, and that is the only reason. But I think that I really do feel that Huddersfield's current position could be where they finish, literally just one above. They're going to have to do some business in January. It's that obvious. I mean, even just judging by, the goals, conceding 10 is bad, just like it is with Cardiff. But only scoring 4 in 5. They need a striker. They need a striker and probably a more creative player that can get the assists as well. So, yeah. That's my take on that one. Right, moving on to Hull City. They currently sit in... sixth. Higher than I thought they'd start, that's for sure. Can't argue with that, can you? So they've got 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, 9 goals scored, 6 conceded, which after 5 games is maybe a slight concern for Liam Rosenior. Plus 3 goal difference and 10 points on the board. Win, draw, win, loss. Good start. You can't argue with that. You could say that the only chink in Hull's armour would be that defence, the fact that they've conceded 6 in 5. But yeah, solid start. Very solid. Can't argue with it, really. Let's have a look at their transfer business. So, for Hull City, there's a handful of players come in. Let's have a look at a couple of them. Liam Delap, on loan from Man City. Obviously, what's it called? Was it Rory Delap? Guy with the long throw. It's his son. Yeah, so they got him on loan. He's a striker, is Liam Delap. Ruben Vinagre, he had a spell at Wolves, I think. They've got him on loan from Sporting Lisbon anyway. Scott Twine on loan from Burnley. I know that Ben HD is quite a fan of Scott Twine. He rates him quite highly. Jaden Philogene, he's... you see, Sky Sports don't even put his full name on it. Isn't he Jaden Philogene Bidis or something like that? I remember him playing in the under-21s against Leeds a few seasons ago. Apparently they paid a few million for that guy, from what I've heard. It says undisclosed, but yeah, I think they've spent quite a bit of money on that guy. So that's a couple of them incomings. Outgoings, they've let Figueiredo go to Fortaleza. I'm not really seeing again, many really important players that have left Hull. So maybe that's a good thing for Hull. They've let a lot of players go out on loan. I thought Leeds was the team that let the most players out on loan, but according to this, Hull have let a big handful go out on loan. Varying levels as well. Championship, League 1, League 2. Yeah. So, maybe that would be seen as a relatively solid transfer window for Hull. I mean, as I said, they've brought a handful of players in. Whether they all, end up succeeding is another matter entirely. Great start for Hull. I think previously I put Hull just slightly in the bottom half. I'm going to promote it. I'm going to put you in top half. You made a good start. You need to sort your defence out a little bit, but bit like Birmingham. You know, you made a good start. Very good. Moving on then, Ipswich Town. Ben Bloom will be interested in this one. That's his club. Right, what can we say about Ipswich Town? There was a lot of hype at the start of the season. And according to this, rightly so. 5 games played, 4-1, no draws. The only lost game against my club, Leeds, that was a 4-3. Bit of a bonkers game, lots of goals in that one. 11 goals scored. I mean, that's massive, isn't it? Really, you know, after 5 games, that's a lot of goals. Oh dear, my cat's having a sneezing fit. Sorry, folks. Alright, I think she's calmed down now. Yeah, she's a bit poorly as my cat at the minute. Okay. Yeah, Ipswich, 11 goals in 5 games is crazy. But then again, the one thing Ipswich excelled on last season was scoring goals, and it was something like over 100 goals. So, you know, there's obviously some firepower there. And they got 3 against Leeds, even though they lost. So, yeah, that's, again, it's an indication, isn't it? 7 goals conceded. Obviously 4 in 1 match. You know, so then, you know, with the other 4 matches, you're only looking at having conceded 3, so, you know, plus 4 goal difference, 12 points on the board, and 2nd place currently. I mean, do I think that Ipswich will stay in the top 6? Only time will tell on that one. But you can't argue with 1 win. Well, you can't argue with win, loss, win, 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 can you? You can't really argue with that. Now, I had Ipswich in the bottom half, because I thought there was, you know, I just thought there was a lot of hype about it. You know, I'm not one to believe hype. The proof has to be done on the pitch, doesn't it? Well, let's have a look at Ipswich's transfer business in the summer here. Kieran Slicker, youngster on loan, youngster signed permanently from Manchester City. Brandon Williams on loan from Man United. Jack Taylor, undisclosed from Peterborough, so pretty sure that Darren McDonough wouldn't have allowed him to go on the cheap. He never does he? George Hurst from Leicester. I think Hurst is seen as quite a fairly promising young player, isn't he? Got him on undisclosed fee, and then Amari Hutchinson on loan from Chelsea, just to mention a few. They also got someone called Henry Gray from Waterside Karori. I have no idea where that is, but it was an undisclosed fee either way. In terms of players out, experienced centre-back Richard Keogh. Don't ask me my opinions on Richard Keogh. They're not too savoury. Good God, surely not the same one. Cameron Stewart. Is he still playing? The guy that was on loan at Leeds and was terrible? Wow. Well, he's gone on loan to Cove Rangers. Wow. You know, it's a blast from the past, is that one? That's if it's the same one. Yeah. Joel Coleman was Joel Coleman was he a young goalkeeper that came through the Huddersfield ranks? I don't know. something in the back of my mind on that one. He's gone on a free to Bolton anyway. Yeah, not a lot of like championship level players that have left there, to be honest, from what I can tell. But obviously quite a clear out. But you can't argue with Ipswich as start. Without a doubt, you're going in top half. Could you make playoffs? Possible. We'll review that closer to the once the January window's gone. See if you can keep up that form. But I mean, what a great start. You've made Benjamin Bloom very proud. And as I say, I mean, you're going to be at the, judging by form, you're going to be in and around that playoff picture. So I can't doubt that whatsoever. I really can't. And as I say, I mean, I could end up moving a couple of these. I could still end up moving Ipswich up into 6th. There's every possibility of that. So I might come back to that. We'll see. Right, moving on to my club, Leeds. 15th, not an amazing start, but Coventry's got the same record, and I still predict they're going to finish in playoffs. 1 win, 3 draws, 1 loss. That loss was contentious, as I say. Should have been a draw. Poor match. The win was against Ipswich, which was a very hard-fought victory. Very close game. Could be argued that maybe it could have been a draw, but I mean the front four that we had for that match was just on fire. Like, all 4 of them scored a goal each. Both myself and Ben Bloom have talked a lot about that match in recent videos. Great spectacle for the championship if you want to watch a match as a neutral. Give that one a watch, because it was 2 teams giving it a right good go. Can't argue with that. As far as the goals are concerned, 7 scored, no issues there. 7 against, too many. But it's a 0 goal difference with 6 points on the board. Draw, win, draw, loss, draw. In terms of, I mean, let's have a look at the transfer business, because this really is where it gets interesting with Leeds. And me being a Leeds fan, I can give a more detailed overview of the transfer business that Leeds have made this season. Ethan Ampadu looks a very tidy pickup. About £7 million, so quite costly. 22 years old, Welsh international, but has looked, every penny of a top-end championship defensive midfielder. So, a very good signing. Cal Darlow bought for around £400,000 from Newcastle. He's a backup goalkeeper. He's replaced Joe Robles. It's that simple. Illan Meslier stayed, so Meslier stayed as number 1, and Darlow currently is playing backup. If Mellier's form drops, then Darlow might get a chance. In the 2 cup games that we've played, Darlow hasn't had a lot to do. There's not much that can be said about him, to be honest. At this moment in time, he hasn't played enough. Suitable backup, don't get me wrong, but he's been a backup goalkeeper most of his career. If you look at the games he's played, he hasn't played that many more than Meslier, and yet he's 9 years older. So I think that says a lot, really. Sam Byram on a free. Right back by trade, former Leeds United Youth Academy product. His previous club was Norwich. started really well. He was being played at left back, and he started the season really well, and then got injured. Typical. But he's been signed on a 1-year contract, and I think it's the injury record, which is why he's only been entrusted to 1 year. It's hard to believe that Byram's 29 now. I remember when he was a kid in the youth ranks. Ugh. Jesus, time flies. But yeah, I hope he gets back fit soon, because he has shown to be a very good fullback at this level. Certainly judging by how he's started at Leeds again anyway. The marquee signing of the bunch, Joel Perreault, signed for around £10 million up front, with add-ons anything up to around 16 million. Well, that would give it a total of 16 million, so about 6 million in add-ons. This will depend on number of goals scored and if Leeds get promoted, I would imagine. Made a great start in that match on his debut against Ipswich. Been a little bit quieter since, but again he's been played in a 10, and I think he needs to be played as a 9. I think that's where we're going to get the best out of Joel Perreault. So hopefully that gets... The post has arrived. Yeah, so hopefully Daniel Farke will move Joel Perreault into a more advanced role as a number 9, and he'll put someone else in the number 10. I think that way then we have a 20 goal striker right there. And imagine what it's going to be like when Patrick Bamford comes back to fitness as well, because he's another proven striker at this level. So yeah, there's a lot of scope for a lot of goals from those two. So then it's really down to how the defence does. Now you see, this list is not accurate, because again it's missed off a signing from Leeds. We've got Joe Rodon on loan from Tottenham, but he's not in the list. And yet Jed Spence, who was also on loan from Tottenham, he is in the list. They've even got the deadline day transfer of Jaden Anthony on loan from Bournemouth, who was part of the swap loan deal, if you will, of Sinisterra going the other way. Yeah, I'm really disappointed with this list. I wish I'd checked it previously and tried to find an alternative one that included every single bloody transfer. I'm not happy about that. Sky Sports, sort your shit out. Right. Okay, so in terms of outgoings, now there's been a lot of them, but so many of these have gone out on loan. Just to touch on those other incomings, so Spence, fullback, should be a solid loan signing at this level. Same with Joe Rodon, I think he'll do alright. Jaden Anthony, don't know a lot about the kid, but apparently did alright. So, hopefully it ends up being a solid winger. Yeah, in terms of the outgoings, Tyler Roberts to Birmingham, we've already mentioned previously. Rodrigo Moreno, he went for around $3.5 million to Al Rayyan in Qatar. Very strange move for Rodrigo there. It has to be money based, really, because he was still harbouring ambitions to get in the Spain squad. I don't think he's going to get in the Spain squad if he's playing in Qatar, is he? So maybe he's just kind of decided, not bothering, I don't know. Ben Androcci and Owen Bray were both kids in the academy. They've gone on to Bolton and Barrow on frees. Alfie McCalmont, it says that he went to Carlisle on a free. No, he didn't. It was a couple of 100k. So Sky they don't know their stuff, do they? Let's face it. McCalmont came through Leeds' youth ranks. Wilbrook and Stuart McKinstry both released. Again, they were through the Leeds youth ranks. Thought McKinstry would have found himself a club by now. Apparently he hasn't. But it's free transfer, so he's free to find another club. You might go back to Motherwell. Joe Robles, it says released because of his contract running out, but I'm sure he's gone to the Saudi League. Can't remember which club though. Right, then the loans, and I don't even know if it's listed every single one of these. I don't think it has actually. No, it hasn't. Oh, this is so poor. No, I don't. Wow. Anyways, Brendan Aronson on loan at Union Berlin, Robin Koch on loan at Frankfurt, Rasmus Christensen on loan at Roma, Diego Llorente on loan at Roma, Mark Roca on loan to Real Betis, Max Weber on loan to Borussia Mönchengladbach, Jack Harrison on loan to Everton. And you see, that's the one loan that I would be happy to get back next season if we, if we get promoted. I like Jack; he's a good player. Tyler Adams to Bournemouth. It says here for 24 million. It's probably not too far out. So it was about 23. Adam Forshaw. His contract ran out very much like Robles, but he decided to go to Norwich on a free. Decent pickup for Norwich if they can keep him fit. Sonny Perkins on loan to Oxford United. Again, it's more of a youth loan really, or certainly a young player loan anyway. Cody Dramé on loan to Birmingham, but he's in his last year of his contract, so he's not going to be playing for Leeds again. Yes! And then Luis Sinistera, who's not even on the bloody list there. He's obviously on loan as a swap loan deal with Jayden Anthony till the end of the season. So, where am I going to place Leeds? I've had them in the top 2 for all of my other AFL Championship predictions so far. I'm still putting them there. That's the target that will have been set to Daniel Farke. It's the target that has been set to the players. I think with the quality we've got in the squad, we've got the best, well, certainly one of the best, if not the best striker in the division in Joel Perreault, who's proven heavily at this level. As I say, Ampadu, probably the best, possibly the best defensive midfielder in the division. It didn't even mention Ilya Gruev, who we've got on loan from Werder Bremen, and it didn't include Glenn Kamara that we've got. Oh, sorry, no, we didn't get him on loan from Bremen. We've signed him permanently for about 5 mil. And Glenn Kamara, we got him for about 4.5 from Rangers. That list is terribly inaccurate. I'm sorry about that, folks. We're too far through the video now to start changing things. So yeah, the target is still top 2. I think we've got the quality in the squad that we can do it. Not easy by any stretch. Never mentioned in any of these videos that it was going to be easy, but it is an expectation. We've had the takeover from the 49ers Enterprises, the York family. Plenty of players have come in. Plenty have gone out, but plenty have come in. So not really any excuses, to be honest. Not the best of starts, but plenty of time to improve. And I think once Farke gets that team gelled together, I think we should really be a very good force in this division. Moving on to Leicester City. I'm going to try and speed this up because we're nearly at an hour and we're not even halfway through. Leicester City. 4 wins, 1 loss, 7 scored, 4 conceded, +3, 12 points on the board. 1 loss, 4 wins, so loss, win. Don't know. I lost count. Anyway, 3rd position currently. They've, there's a lot of quality gone, but they've brought some decent players in as well. Connor Cody and Harry Winks, they know this level, don't they? Of course. Heavy transfer fee though. I mean, 10 million for Winks. I think it's a bit overpaid, that, isn't it? And then 8.5 for Cody again. A little bit overpriced, perhaps. We actually got Tom Cannon in on the end. I know that Cannon there was a lot of interest in Cannon from a lot of teams, wasn't Hermanson, the goalkeeper. Mavididi, former Middlesbrough youth, I think. So you know they've spent heavy, but the reason they've been able to spend heavy is getting over 80 million quid for Maddison, and well, Barnes didn't go for 39 million. It was nearer 25. I don't know where Sky have got that from. Maddison did go for over 40 million to Spurs though. They let Georgios go to Ipswich. Ayoze Perez has gone to Betis. Soyuncu, Atletico Madrid on a free. Tillemans on a free to Villa. Amati, Bertrand. Johnny Evans has gone back to Man United. It's the weirdest thing going on. I don't know. So that's just a few of them. They've been beating teams by like a single goal, so it's not super convincing. But you can't argue with the start they've made. I'm still putting them in top 2. They're there to be beaten, aren't they? But they're going to be very hard to beat. So, yeah. Coventry ran them close, very close, in their match. Let's just put it that way. Right, moving on to Middlesbrough. Let's have a look at where they currently stand at. Not Middlesbrough. What am I on about? No, they would. Yeah, Middlesbrough. Sorry. Yeah, Middlesbrough, 24th place. Probably the biggest shocker of all teams. Of the whole bunch. Some YouTubers predicted them to finish top. Some, predicted second and third and fourth. Or, I don't think anyone predicted them outside of the top 6. Certainly initially on the very early predictions. I think I put them in 7th on the last one. And by the looks of it, even putting them 7th is generous. No wins, 1 draw, 4 losses. Just 3 goals scored, 11 conceded. -8. Just 1 point on the board. Wow. Steve Gibson is not going to be a happy chappy in that chairman's box. Loss, draw, loss. Mr. Carrick, this is going to be a test of your relatively short managerial career so far. I mean, if Middlesbrough don't sort their stuff out, I mean, come on, Carrick could be gone in a month or so. All them expectations and they're not being lived up to at all. Biggest shock of the bunch, isn't it? Sena Dieng came in on undisclosed from QPR, the goalkeeper. They've signed a few Australian players. I don't think they've really gelled yet. Signed a lot of goalkeepers from what I remember as well. It's not a great, it's not a great transfer window. Even though there's been so much movement and so many players in. Chuba Akpom left for Ajax for 10 million. Grant Hall went to Rotherham. Jack Robinson, Carlisle. I thought Robinson might have found someone a bit higher than Carlisle maybe, but I don't know. Luke Daniels, I think he's a goalkeeper. He went to Forest Green. Darnell Fisher was released. Darnell Fisher was on Celtic's books going back in the day. Joe Lumley went to Southampton on a free. Well, that's a goalkeeper as well, isn't it? Yeah. Wow. So, in terms of where do we put Middlesbrough? I mean, I don't think they'll be relegated. I mean, if they are, then that's a screw up of a season. It's a fairly large club going down. I remember the days when Middlesbrough had Juninho playing for them, Ravanelli up front and Emerson, Marshall in the midfield, times like that. And I can relate with my club Leeds. We've been there, it's horrible. Yeah, I don't think they'll get relegated. Do I put them bottom half or top half? They're not going in playoffs, not a chance. It would have to be a miraculous turnaround. For now, I'm going to say the bottom of the. I'm sorry, I'm going to say the top of the bottom half. For now, I might review that towards the end. But if they don't sort that form out, there's nothing to suggest after the first 5 games, is there? 3 goals scored suggests they need a striker. 11 goals conceded suggests they need some defence reinforcements. 1 point, 1 draw. -8, the worst difference in the division. Middlesbrough fans, tell me what's going on. What is going on at your club? Do you think Carrick's got the wherewithal to turn it around? Do you think he's got the squad? Has Steve Gibson adequately supported him in the transfer window? Are the players that you've brought in good enough? All these Australians that have come in and everything. Nothing against Australians. Viduka and Kuhl were class for Leeds when they were at Leeds. So, Kisnorbo, excellent at League One level. So there's been good Australian players that have come to play in the English division. So no doubt about that. But in terms of what you've got currently, Can you make a miraculous escape? I know you had a slow start to the season last season and you ended up finishing 3rd or something, so your squad's done it before, or certainly your club's done it before, but it's a poor start, isn't it? Moving on to Millwall. Millwall are currently located in 12th position, 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. Only 4 goals scored, 5 goals conceded, -1, 7 points. Draw, win, loss, win. In terms of Millwall's transfer activity, Nisbet, he's been quite highly rated, hasn't he? Getting him from Hibernian in Scotland. Joe Bryant, experienced fullback at this level on a free transfer from Fulham. In terms of outgoings, I'd say that George Long, the goalkeeper, is probably the biggest outgoing, possibly. He's gone on a free to Norwich, so I'm assuming he's probably just simply replaced Tim Krul, who I think left, didn't he? Yeah, just a handful of players that have been at Millwall for quite some time by the looks of it. Mason Bennett, Scott Malone, George Long, Folksammer, George Evans. I think they'd all been at Millwall for some time. Tall place, it's about where most people tend to expect Millwall to finish, isn't it? Only 4 goals scored though, and 5 conceded. It's not great. I think you'll be borderline Millwall. I think you could be just in and around that midway line. I really do. Just for now, I'll put you bottom half, but it'll be at the very top of the bottom half, or you could be at the very bottom of the top half. You will be mid-table, I think. You know, Millwall fans, put your comments in below. You know, where do you think you'll finish? Moving on to Norwich. We've had a pretty decent start to the season by all accounts. Find themselves in 5th with 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, the same as Hull. A whopping 14 goals scored. I mean, that's huge. That's huge at this stage of the season, isn't it? Nearly 3 goals a game. Good God. But again, 8 conceded, which in 5 games is not brilliant. But with so many goals scored, it's a +6 goal difference with 10 points on the board. Loss, win, win, draw, win. In terms of Norwich's transfer activity, who have they got? Got a handful of foreigners that have come in. Fashnak from Young Boys in Switzerland. Borja Sainz from Giresunspor. Vicente Reyes from Atlanta United, so I think that's an American team. Ashley Barnes, experienced frontman from Burnley. Won't get him a lot of goals, but he'll beat up both centre-backs for you, so... To be fair to Barnes, he might get you like 10 or 12 goals or something like that. You know, he's an experienced campaigner at this level. As is Shane Duffy on a free from Fulham. Jack Stacey on a free from Bournemouth. See, there's not been a lot of money spent by Norwich, has there? George Long on a free from Millwall. Adam Forshaw, as we mentioned, on a free from Michael Leeds, and then Pedro Lima on loan from Palmeiras in Brazil. They really haven't spent a lot. In terms of outgoings, now this is where it gets interesting for Norwich. Rashika, I remember Rashika was signed as an attempted replacement for Wendy, and it's never really worked out for Rashika, really. Omar Bamidele, now he was very highly rated, wasn't he? He played quite a few games as well. He's been let go to Nottingham Forest for, accordingly, or apparently, 11.5 million plus add-ons. It's quite a big loss for Norwich, I think, really. But I mean, until they start kind of, doing a bit better, they're going to lose players like that, aren't they? Ballymumba, who was on loan at Plymouth, has been let go to Plymouth for an undisclosed fee, apparently about £1 million, I think, from what I've heard. Kieran Dowell's gone on a free to Rangers. Timu Pukki, bit of a Norwich legend, I guess, in the modern era, has gone to Minnesota United in America. Well, fair play to him. He's scored so many goals for Norwich over the last few seasons, hasn't he? So he's entitled to an MLS move. Byram to Leeds, as we mentioned. Michael McGovern, experienced goalkeeper, he's gone on a free to Hearts. Tim Krul has also gone on loan. Sorry, not gone on loan. He's gone to Luton for an undisclosed fee. Lost a few goalkeepers there, haven't they? They did bring Long in. I don't know whether Long's playing. I don't know if he's actually playing or if he's a backup. Oh well. So with Norwich, I mean, 5th place, looking solid. They were looking good until they lost Josh Sargent to injury. Now, I don't know how severe the injury is. But they made a good start. With all that firepower, I mean, alright, maybe they need to tighten up the defence, but for the minute, I'm putting them playoffs. If they can keep that goal scoring record up, they're going to be up there. scoring a lot of goals. They're scoring more than they're conceding. It's going to get them wind, isn't it? So yeah, playoffs for Norwich at the minute. From the N's down to the P's, Plymouth Argyle, League One champions last season. Decent start, 10th place. Very decent start. 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, 8 scored. Very good. 5 conceded. Not terrible. Obviously a +3 with 7 points. Win, loss, loss, draw, win. Let's have a look at Plymouth's transfer business. Connor Hazard from Celtic, Bellimumba from Norwich, Morgan Whittaker, that was another one that they had on loan last season that they made into permanent. Pleguezuelo, Jesus, what a name that is, from FC20 in Holland on a free. Fenazaz, I think that was another player that they had on loan last season. They got him on loan again. So it's just to name a few. They did let Ennis go to Blackburn on a free, which is possibly their biggest their biggest loss, based on how well he did last season for them. But again, a bit like Ipswich, a lot of the players that have left are all League One, League Two standard in a sense, really. That's represented by the clubs that they've joined, really. So yeah, I mean, Plymouth. Wow, I mean, good start. Can they maintain top half? Can they maintain it? I had all 3 of the promoted sides from League One kind of around the top of the bottom half in my last prediction, I think. Oh, it's so close, isn't it? I mean, if you can keep up this kind of form, Plymouth, I think you can stay top half. But there is that possibility you might drop down to the bottom half. But you're not gonna. I don't see you being in a relegation battle. Which a lot of predictors did do, and I didn't see it myself. If you can win League One as comfortably as you did, very much like Ipswich with the goals that they scored and finishing second, Plymouth won League One with over 100 points. There's a winning mentality, there's a winning feeling there, there's a positive feeling down at Home Park, and Home Park will be a difficult place to go to purely on the travelling distance as much as anything. As I've said this in previous videos. You know what, Plymouth? I'm gonna say you're gonna. I think you'll scrape. I think you'll scrape the top half. I really do. Yeah, top half. Plus, you've got one of the nicest kits this season. That home kit is really nice. Outside of like the lead, 2 of the 3 Leeds kits. That Plymouth home kit is nice. All right, moving on. Plymouth. Oh, no, we're just talking about Plymouth. Preston. Sorry, this video's gone on so long. I'm tired. Right, Preston. Wow, what a start! What a start for them. 4 wins, 1 draw, no losses, 8 goals scored, 3 goals conceded, +5, 13 points, win, draw. Who can argue with that? Can you really? Scored more goals than you've played, conceded less goals than you've played, no losses. Deserve to be top of the league on that basis. I mean, can anyone really argue? Let's have a look at your transfers. Let's start with the one that's really stood out. Mads Frøykjær Jensen. Ben HD, Ben's such an happy chappy right now, and generally speaking, tends to be a very happy chappy on his videos anyway. But yeah, I mean, it says that it was an undisclosed fee from Adenzi. Well, I think I'm pretty sure Adenzi are a Scandinavian club. Could well be Danish because that's where Frokjær Jensen's from. But this kid has made a very good start. Ben's been raving about him on his videos. Apparently, he's scored a couple of goals, got a couple of assists, and looks an absolute beast in that position that he's playing at the moment. So a great pickup for Preston. I think it says undisclosed, I think he's been signed for at least £1 million. And Preston don't spend a lot of money traditionally. Dwayne Holmes and Will Keane have made strong starts for them as well, signing from Huddersfield and Wigan. Calvin Ramsey, which was a high profile loan signing from Liverpool, I think he's been injured, so I don't think he's played much. Jack Watmore from Wigan, a couple of other players in as well, so let's have a look at their outgoings. Dan Johnson, he was an experienced pro for Preston, wasn't he, really? I think he's gone to Stoke. Josh Onama, he's been in this division for some time as well, he was released. Bambo Diaby's gone to Sheffield Wednesday. He might be regretting that now. Yeah, so not, doesn't look as if there's been like any major outgoings for Preston. But as I say, that Frokjær Jensen, he's definitely the star player that's been signed there, and he's doing very well for him. So Preston, where are you going to finish then? So I had you kind of again around that mid-table area, but at the moment, who's going to beat you? I'm gonna pull a bit of a shocker here. I'm gonna put Preston playoffs. I'm gonna put you 6th. Right? I just think that start is just too positive. It's too positive, and I know it's only 5 games in, and there's 40 odd games remaining, but still. I don't know. Preston are there on merit. You can't argue otherwise. I'm going to put you around that 6th place mark at the minute. I don't know. Got to put some respect on your start there, Preston North End. Ben HD, if you're watching, please put your thoughts in the comments of to the start of your season there, because you must be loving it, mate. You must be loving it. Right, moving on to Queen's Park Rangers. Now, I had QPR in and around that relegation area. I might have had them to go down on the previous prediction videos that I've done. QPR 17th? That's not a terrible start. That's not a terrible start by any stretch of the imagination. With all the pressure that was being put on Ainsworth. 2 wins, no draws, 3 losses. 5 goals scored, 8 conceded, so still a bit leaky at the back. -3 and 6 points scored. Win, loss, win, loss. Let's have a look at your transfer business. Begovic on a free, and I think he's playing. I mean, he's ancient, is Begovic, but he's a giant. The dude's huge, man. And he's experienced, very experienced. And maybe bringing him in to replace Dieng, it's not such a bad deal. Callback,
he's an experienced player as well, isn't he? Morgan Fox, he's experienced as well. Steve Cook, former Bournemouth and Forest. You know, these aren't terrible signings. You know, for Championship level, they're not bad. Going out, Rob Dickie and Sonny Dieng. You know, they were the two kind of higher profile players that kind of left. Stefan Johansson as well. I mean, he was reasonably rated at this kind of level. Chris Martin, if that's the former Derby striker, if it's the same guy, then again won't get you a lot of goals, but very experienced at this level. Yeah, I mean, with this, say QPR's transfer business. I mean, you know, you could argue that losing Dickie and Dieng is quite a big loss, you know, to Bristol and Middlesbrough respectively, but you know, Dieng's replaced by Begovic. Has Dickie been replaced really? That might be the sticking point, perhaps. And then again, they brought in Steve Cook, didn't they? I think Dickie's. I'm getting Dickie mixed up. I think it was. I'm thinking he's a striker. He's not. He's a centre back, isn't he? And he's been replaced by Steve Cook. So, yeah. Not a terrible start for QPR. I'm going to put you bottom half. I think you'll stay up. There you go. Yeah, I think you'll stay up. Right, moving on. Who's next? Rotherham. 1 win, 1 draw, 3 losses, same as Cardiff and Huddersfield. 7 scored. That's not terrible, but 11 conceded. That's the problem. That's the problem for Rotherham right now. Leaky defence. -4, 4 points on the board. Win, loss, draw, loss. In terms of Rotherham's transfer business, not the legendary Brazilian fullback Cafu, but some guy called Cafu from Nottingham Forest on a free. Grant Hall, experience at this level, as is Dylan Phillips, again on a free. Onyedinma, again, I think he had a few seasons at Millwall, didn't he? He's coming on loan from Luton. Yeah, they've got a handful of players in. A couple of okay ones. I mean, you know, they're okay for this level. Rotherham are always going to be seen to be a club that will have a very, you know, minimal transfer budget, so they've got to do what they can, haven't they? Connor Washington, he's an outgoing that's gone to Derby. Richard Wood has gone to Doncaster. Wes Harding went to Millwall. I'd say those are probably some of the higher profile players that have gone. Simply put, Rotherham, I think you'll scrape survival, just. So bottom half for you guys. Not a lot more I can say on that one really. Next, Sheffield Wednesday. No wins, 1 draw, 4 losses, 4 goals scored, 9 conceded, -5, 1 point on the board, the draw coming against Leeds. Leeds battered Sheffield Wednesday and just couldn't get past the low block. So you could argue that, you know, drawing a clean sheet, you know, against a team with one of the so-called better strike forces in the division, you know, they set up to defend though. You know, they didn't even try to win the match. Call me bitter if you want, I don't mind, but I suppose in a sense, I mean, you know, with the form that Sheffield Wednesday were on, I mean, you're not exactly going to try and do much attacking against the Leeds United side that's got the firepower that we had available, are you? I don't like it when clubs play negatively. You know, people pay a lot of money to see their football club. Do they really want to see their football club playing boring football? I don't know. I think the entertainment side is slowly dropping out of football these days, which is such a shame because it's what people pay for. People pay money to see entertaining football. They don't pay to see a dirgy, defensive-minded. Oh, let's try and hit them on the counter and see if we get lucky. You know what I mean? It's not a great watch, is it? In terms of Sheffield's transfers, Reece James from Blackpool, he's fairly experienced at this level. Ashley Fletcher, he's experienced at this level on loan from Watford. I said they got Bambo Diaby from Preston. He must be regretting it now. Someone on loan from AC Milan, believe it or not. Davis Vasquez. I don't know whether he's played yet or not. Jeff Hendrick on loan from Newcastle. These are. There's one or two fairly experienced players there. I think you're going down. Sheffield Wednesday fans, let me know what you think in the comments. Can you get out of this? Is Xisco Munoz going to stay as manager for the whole season? Can he stay as manager for the whole season? Can he get Sheffield Wednesday out of the mess that you're in at the moment? I'm not so sure. I'm really not so sure. I can't not put you relegated at the minute. Based on what looks like a relatively average transfer window and really bad form. Within those first 5 games. Plenty of time to turn it around. Don't get me wrong. But you're gonna have to find something from somewhere. You're not scoring enough and you're conceding too many. So it's what are you gonna do? Southampton. You're next. Now Southampton, Ben HD did a video on net spend and apparently they've got a profit of over 130 million quid, which is utterly insane. With Sheffield Wednesday, we didn't look at their outgoings. My mistake, I do apologise. Let's have a look. Stockdale, the goalkeeper, he's gone on loan. He's gone on a free to York, and I think they've made him head of recruitment as well. I saw this yesterday. It's an interesting move for Stockdale. That it'll keep him heavily involved, obviously. Stockdale's a Leeds fan, so I like when in his prime, I always wanted him to join Leeds, but yeah, interesting move for Stockdale. Jack Hunt, experienced player, he's been released. There's not a lot to shout about with them players that have left Sheffield, is there? In terms of Southampton, let's have a look at them in the division at the minute. They are 7th. 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. 10 scored, 12 conceded. 12? 12 conceded and they're in 7th place. What the? Good God. -2, 10 points on the board. Loss, win, win, draw, win. $12 conceded. Where's Southampton's defence disappeared to? Somehow there was higher 7th, but Christ, if they had a better defence, they'd be higher, wouldn't they? Come on, what on earth? That's bonkers. There's teams at the bottom that have conceded less than Southampton. This is the bonkers nature of the Championship, folks. It really is. Shea Charles, an expensive kid from Man City, £15 million. Yeesh. It's a lot of money for an unproven kid, isn't it? Ryan Manning on a free from Swansea. Joe Lumley on a free from Borough, as we mentioned before. Ryan Fraser on loan from Newcastle. He's experienced at this level, as is Mason Holgate, an experienced player. Flynn Downs on loan from West Ham, former Swansea kid. Taylor Harwood-Bellis on loan from Man City. He was on loan at Burnley last season, helped them to promotion. In terms of the outgoings, Ward-Prowse, 30 million to West Ham. That was kind of expected, really. Bella Kotchap, the young German centre-back, he's gone on loan to PSV. Probably important for Southampton that he went on loan, because obviously he's still quite young and looked pretty reasonable, so they'll probably be wanting him back. Who else is left on here? Walcott's been released. Ellen Uzi's gone on a free to Copenhagen. Caballero's retired. Not surprised. Getting on a bit. Duge Collector Carr's gone on to Leon. Ahmed Salisu, he'd been at Southampton a while, hasn't he? He's gone to Monaco for 17 million quid. Tino Livramento, the young fullback, he's gone to Newcastle for 32 million apparently. Romeo Lavia, 58 million quid! What? What has Lavia done to prove that he's worth 58 million quid? Unreal. That is... oh god. Chelsea's been caught with the pants down there. That's a huge outlay for a player that... he's never worth 58, is he? Really? I don't see it myself. Southampton fans, let me know your thoughts on these hefty outgoings that you've had there. Yeah, I don't know. Some bonkers transfer activity. I mean, I would argue that Southampton's had the busiest transfer window of any club in the entire division. There or thereabouts, anyway. I mean, with all this in mind, I mean, God, we've got 3 of the playoff teams in there already. You got to think with the quality in the squad that they'd still nick a playoff place, wouldn't they? I'll put you in there for now. Anyway, next, Stoke City, where are you? You are in 16th currently. 2 wins, no draws, 3 losses, 5 goals scored, 6 conceded, -1, 6 points, loss, win, loss, win. Yeah, I mean, about as up and down as it can be, I guess. Need to be scoring a couple more goals ideally, I guess, but again the defence needs to tighten up a little. In terms of Stoke's transfer business, I think we all like Southampton, surely. In comes Ben Pearson, experienced at this level. Vidigal, Dan Johnson from Preston, Ryan May, there was a lot said about him, he's coming in from Ferencváros. Wesley Moraes, the Brazilian guy from Villa, he's coming on permanent. Rose and Stevens, experienced fullbacks, have come in from Coventry and Sheffield United. Kijana Hoover had a very good spell in the Championship last season, didn't he, the fullback? Kirby, one of my cats. yeah, you've got to think that Hoover, should be another good, should have another good loan spell, shouldn't he? Travers on loan from Bournemouth. Not a terrible goalkeeper. He's played a lot of first team games for Bournemouth, hasn't he? But lost his place to the Brazilian Neto, so understandable to let him go on loan. McNally had a loan spell from Burnley last season to somebody else, I think. He's come on loan in the Championship again. Lyndon Gooch has gone. He was at Sunderland for a long time, wasn't he, Gooch? Hello, Kirby. She likes her attention, does this one, folks. Steady down. There we go. Yeah, so they got Gooch in, so that's an experienced little midfielder there. Going out, Morgan Fox to QPR, as we've mentioned. Sam Clucas, quite an experienced player, he's gone. Aidan Flint, towering centre back, he's gone on a free to Mansfield. Now it says that Phil Jagielka's like, surely Jagielka's retired now. He must be ancient. I'd be surprised if Jagielka's still playing. Yeah, that's pretty much all the slightly bigger names that have left Stoke. So Stoke City, I actually thought they made 2 or 3 decent signings on the incomings there, but again, it's been a bit of a mixed start, hasn't it? Stoke, I think I'm kind of looking at the teams remaining. I think that Stoke are either going to be top half or bottom half. You're going to be mid-table. For now, I'll put you scraping top half. But we'll see. I might come back on that one. Next is Sunderland. Currently 9th, 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, 9 scored, 5 conceded, +4, 7 points. Win, draw, win, loss. Not a terrible start. Scoring goals. Conceded a few, but not terrible. Not terrible after 5 games. We average at 1 a game. Transfer business for Sunderland has been Joe Bellingham, Jude's younger brother. Bradley Dack, free transfer from Blackburn. Just to name a couple of them. Jensen Sealt's seen as quite a decent pickup from PSV as well, from Eindhoven in Holland. Players out. Kachosa, Wright, Gooch. They're about the only kind of experienced ones that I'm looking at that could possibly have done a job. The rest, I can only imagine they're relatively young players. Possibly, I'm not sure. Where are we putting Sunderland then? Because at the moment, all of the playoff teams all of the playoff slots are taken. And all of the remaining
in top half places are taken as well. So I did say I was going to review this. And at the moment I do have my doubts on, out of those 6 I have my doubts on Stoke. Sorry Stoke, I'm going to drop you. I'm going to drop you to the bottom half, and I'm going to put Sunderland top half at the minute. I think I'm going to be fairly comfortable with my choices for the playoffs there. Preston are obviously the surprise package. And Southampton aren't currently in the playoffs either. I mean, two of those clubs aren't even in fact, there's only one of those currently in the playoff position, so it's kind of a bold prediction. Ben Bloom likes his bold predictions, doesn't he? So, yeah. Well, I'll go with it like that for the minute. I will. Right, next. Swansea City. You are currently 22nd place. No wins, 2 draws, 3 losses, 6 goals scored, but 9 conceded. That's your problem. You're too leaky in defence. -3, 2 points scored. Loss, draw, loss, draw. Now, in one of my previous predictions, I predicted Swansea to get relegated, and a Swansea fan put a message on there saying absolutely no chance. No chance, you say, my friend? Well, you're not exactly lighting the championship up right now, are you? No wins in 5. Just a couple of points to show for it. You're scoring goals. So despite losing Perot, you're still scoring goals, but your defence, you need to get a footballing plumber in there. You need to start plugging it up a bit, because that's what's letting you down. If you'd have conceded less goals, you'd have been further up the table, no doubt about that. What's your transfer news been? Let's have a look. In terms of players in, Jerry Yates, not a bad signing from Blackpool. Patino on loan from Arsenal. A couple of decent players, no doubt about that. In terms of outgoings, Perot, it's huge. I know you've scored a few goals so far, which is great, but I think losing Perot, I think that's massive. I honestly believe Perot to be either the best or one of the best strikers in this division. So for me, that is one of the major reasons that I believe that Swansea will have a bad season. You've lost your major goal scoring outlet. I mean, what are you going to do? Unless you replace him with someone just as good. Because on top of that, it's not the only goal scorer you've lost either. You've lost Obafemi as well, and Morgan Whittaker. Are they not all, goal scoring or goal creating players? I don't know. It's some big losses for Swansea there. Manning at fullback again. He contributed to the assist, didn't he? He's gone on a free at Southampton. Latibeaudier and Norton. Again, they were regularly played in defence, weren't they? They're gone. Norton had been at Swansea a long time. Sondergaard's gone. Nsham's gone. He was an experienced player and all, wasn't he? From Celtic, I believe. Sorry, Swansea. There's nothing to suggest to me that you're going to stay up. Not with that. Yeah. I can't see it. January's going to be a big month for Swansea. They need to replenish those front boys if they haven't done already. And maybe they have done to a certain extent with Jerry Yates, but I don't know. Right, the final two, the two W's, starting with Watford. Let's have a look at the Hornets. 18th place. Not a great start for Watford, is it? 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses, 7 scored, 5 conceded. Which is not a terrible record, actually, to be fair. 7 and 5 plus 2. That's the kind of goal scoring record you'd expect of a team in the top half, not in the bottom half. Only 5 points on the board, 1 draw, 2 draw, loss, draw, win. Wow. Massive drop off of form, isn't it, that? I think they had a really good win in the first match of the season, didn't they? And then after that it's massively dropped off at Watford, and we know what Watford's owners are like in terms of managers. They're very twitchy. Very, very twitchy. So, as things stand at the minute, let's before we put a position on them, let's have a look at Watford's transfer business. Tom Ince, Rhys Healey, Jake Livermore, Jamal Lewis. They're all experienced players at this level, aren't they, really? Gone out, João Pedro and Ismaila Sarr. I mean, that's a lot of money brought in for him, 30 million and 17 million apparently. There's the whole Udinese connection going on there as well. Cabaselli's gone there, Quinner's gone there, Okoye's gone there. They've also lost Troost-Ekong to PAOK in Greece, another experienced player. Hungbo, he'd been there a while, hadn't he, at Watford? I didn't even know that they had Britt Assombalonga. He's been released apparently. Bloody hell. Bakuna, Cathcart, oh my god, he'd been there ages. Hasn't Cleverly, he's retired. Gaspar's been released. Fletcher, as we know, has gone on loan to Wednesday. That's a lot of players out into that. My god. Right. Well, I think I had Watford for top half, but I'm not convinced. I mean, the scoring for and against is not terrible, but so many player changes, and with the Potsos being what they're like, they're going to be managerial trigger happy, aren't they? I think you'll be at the top of the bottom half. You might squeeze top half, Watford fans, but for now I've got to put you in the bottom half. I'm looking at the teams that I've got in the top half, and I'm fairly comfortable with my choices for the top half at the minute. As I say, it is open for movement, but can't see it at the minute. You've got to turn that form around. As I say, your goals for and against they're not terrible, but again, after 5 games, scoring 7 and conceding 5, it's a very mid-table type reflection into it at the moment. So I don't know. Watford, you could finish top half. You could still finish top half, trust me. But for now, I'll put you bottom half. This just leaves West Bromwich Albion. You're currently 11th. 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, 10 goals scored. Very impressive, but 9 conceded. It's that defence. It's a leaky defence. You need to tighten it up. So +1, 7 points. Loss, win, draw, win, loss. And I believe the draw was against my team Leeds. I think it finished 1-1. Let's have a look at your transfer business. Sarmiento on loan from Brighton. Shaq Poke from Villa on a free, and someone called Pippa
all known from Ludogorets. Not a lot of transfers in, is it? In terms of transfers out, Darragh O'Shea to Burnley for an undisclosed fee. I think it was at least 10 million, that one. Jake Livermore's released. Rogic has gone. Carlan Grant's gone, as we know. David Button, he didn't have a good season last season. He's been let go to Reading on a free. I think the rest are youth players by the looks of it. So yeah, a couple of reasonable players have gone out, but you've made a reasonable start. Is there anyone in that top half that's going to falter? You know what? I'm going to shove one of them top half teams down. Yep. Blackburn Rovers. You're going to drop to the bottom half. And in your place is West Bromwich Albion. There we go. Yeah. There we have it, folks. Well, that took a while, didn't it, eh? Had a lot to go through there. Positions, transfers. Now, as I say, I will do another review. My final championship predictions will happen at the end of the January transfer window, and by that point, then we really should have an idea then as to what's going to happen, shouldn't we? By that point, you would like to think that there might not be that many transfers that occur. So a few changes there, a few changes from my previous predictions. Now that the season started, teams have started to kind of show what they can do or what they've not been able to do in some cases. There's a change at the bottom for me there. Sheffield Wednesday's dropped in there now. Middlesbrough, I had them for playoffs. I've got them bottom half, and I think that's generous based on the start of the season for them. Plymouth and Ipswich, I had them top of the bottom half. Pretty sure Birmingham, I think were borderline, but I'm pretty sure I had Hull in the bottom half. I think I had Sunderland playoffs at one point. I think I had West Brom playoffs at one point. But you can't argue with the start that Preston have made. Preston have given themselves a fantastic opportunity here, and if they can keep up the form, there's no reason to say that they shouldn't finish top six. I still think that the two bigger boys from the Premier League will be the top two. My club, Leeds, I think will come stronger as the season goes on. Leicester, you can't argue with their start. You could only maybe slightly argue that they've only been winning games by the odd goal, but that's all you need to do. That's seeing games out professionally, isn't it? The one thing that we did not look into is the teams that clubs have actually played against, is it? We'd have been here till next week if we had. It's a big thing, because I think Ben's mentioned on, Ben HT, he's mentioned that Preston's running so far in the first 5 games on paper has maybe not been the strongest, and that tougher tests will come throughout the season. But at the end of the day, everyone's got to play everyone home and away, haven't they? So, does it matter when you play teams? Some argue that it does. In terms of form and positions and things like that, and players that have come and gone, or managers that have come and gone in some cases. Is there a good time to be playing a team right now? I don't know. Anything could happen. This is the Championship. It is not It is not an easy division to predict. But yeah, there we have it, folks. Yeah, there's been some changes. I'm fairly content with where I've put everyone. I don't think that there can be that many arguments against many of these. Some people might look at Leeds' position and say no, you'd shove Leeds down the bottom half maybe. I just feel that with the signings that Leeds have made, you can't argue with the Perot signing. If Farke gets the best out of Perot, it's got goals written all over it. I think the style of football that Farke's trying to get us to play, I think it suits Perot. We've just got to get him firing. Southampton, despite conceding 12 goals in 5 games, which is a lot for a team that's as high as 7th currently, I still think that they could still challenge top 2 if Russell Martin gets his team in a gear. Because they've scored 10, it's not drastic. They're scoring goals, but my God, they're conceding. Norwich City, I don't think we can argue with that right now. They're in 5th place, and a big part of that is because they've scored 14 goals. That's a lot of goals to score in the first 5 games. You could argue that conceding 8, again, it's a little bit open there, isn't it, at the back, but can't really argue with it. Look at Birmingham. They've made a start better than even their own fans probably predicted at this stage, I think. The one thing to remember is that this is only the first 5 games. There's over 40 more games to play. It's a lot of football still to be played. A lot of points still to be won and lost. So who knows? But with all that being said, the table, there's some interesting positions for some of these teams right now. Probably none more so than Middlesbrough. Who predicted that Middlesbrough would be bottom after 5 games, eh? It's crazy. And despite all the hype, I don't think anyone really thought that Ipswich would be as high as 2nd either. It is a great start by Ipswich. We will give them that. They've got something going there. Let me know your thoughts on your manager, Ipswich fans. Because I wasn't right impressed with his interview on the Leeds game. I thought he was very naive with it, quite frankly. But again, you can't argue with what he's performing on the pitch, or what he's getting you to perform on the pitch. You can't argue with that. I'll give you that much. Leicester fans, what's your thoughts on Maresca? 5 games in, do you like what he's trying to do? Are you comfortable? Winning games just by the odd goal. Is a win a win? It's 3 points whether you win 1-0 or 10-0, isn't it? So. Are you satisfied with Maresca so far? Southampton, are you happy with Russell Martin? Leeds fans, let me know. We're cut from the same cloth here. Are you happy with the start we've made? Are you happy with the transfers that we've made? Do please let me know. And that goes for all the fans of all the clubs here. Let me know your thoughts on these predictions. Let me know your thoughts on your club's start to the season and where you think you'll finish at the end of it. And do please give reasons why in the comments. But we are approaching a 2-hour video here. This is by far the longest video I've done, I think. Some of my live streams go on way over 2 hours, but not the recorded videos usually. I hope it'll submit to YouTube. So yeah, in the meantime, do please give the video a like. Do please subscribe to the channel for more football and video gaming content. as I say, we'll do another one. We'll do a final one of these prediction videos after the January transfer window. But in the meantime, have a great day. See you in the next one. Bye bye.